And good evening, this is Bob W6CJX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The PAPA system is an open membership supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the PAPA system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com, that's PAPASYS.com, and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the PAPA system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system, Great Outdoor Net. And good evening, everybody. W6CJX is here. I'm somewhere in the shack. Can't find me. It's too dark. I can't even find myself. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. Some good games on. Good football games if you're into that. Seems like this whole season has been a really good year just for great games as far as, overtime, tying the games at the last second. Just seems to keep happening. So that's what makes the game. Even if you're rooting for a different team or something, it just at least it's kind of fun to let it go on and see who pulls out the winner. So with that, let's get the announcements going. We got the Orange County Luncheon, I believe, coming up this week. And so let's have a listen.
Here are the Papa System weekly announcements for the week of January 19th. The Papa Orange County Luncheon. The Papa System will be meeting in person on Saturday, January 24th at 11:30 a.m. at the Sizzler in Fullerton. 1401 North Harbor Boulevard, Fullerton, California. Everyone is welcome. Come on out and meet your on-air friends in person. We will be offering ham license testing at 10 a.m. for technician, general and amateur extra class licenses. Please RSVP for luncheon attendance and register for ham license testing at 10 a.m. on the Papa website. Denny's Thousand Palms Luncheon. Papa will be meeting in person on Saturday, January 31st, at 11 a.m. at a new location, the Denny's Thousand Palms. Everyone is encouraged to come out to our new location for a chance to meet and visit with your on-air friends. Denny's Thousand Palms is located at 72244 Varner Road, Thousand Palms, California. Please RSVP for the luncheon. Ham license testing at 9:30 a.m. Register in advance on the Papa website. No walk-ins, please. Papa Quick Start Program. At all of our test sessions, we have a Quick Start program for newly licensed technicians. We will help you understand how to communicate on the Papa system with fellow ham radio operators. You will be able to get on the air as soon as your new FCC license arrives and receive a free pre-programmed VHF/UHF handheld radio at no cost to you. You are encouraged to join the new Hams Net Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. with Steve, KI6LOV, and let him know that you are a part of the Quick Start program and connect with fellow new amateur radio operators. More details are available at all of the Papa test sessions and on the Papa website. Papa members are invited to an online presentation on RT Systems radio programming software on February 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. RT Systems offers user-friendly programming software for amateur radios. If you can think of a ham radio, they probably have a module for that. Karen, KD4DXX, will be our host for this Zoom presentation. See the Papa website and email for the link to this meeting and mark your calendar for February 7th, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Yuma Ham Fest 2026. The Yuma Ham Fest is back this year on February 27th to 28th. Papa will be in attendance at booths 81, 82 and 83, so make sure to come on by and pay us a visit. This year, the Papa system is asking members to donate their no longer needed ham radio equipment for resale at Yuma. Proceeds will be used to update equipment at the Papa repeater sites. Papa Annual Dinner. 7 p.m. Friday, February 27th. Please join us at Du Bois Italian Restaurant. 284 South Main Street, Yuma, Arizona. Seating is limited to 20 people, so please RSVP early for the Friday night Papa dinner on the Papa website. For more Hamfest information, please visit the Yuma Hamfest website at www.yumahamfest.com. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com.
Okay, I think we made it. Didn't time out, as far as I can tell from my side anyway. Yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind. It's a little ways away, but like a month or a little more than a month for the Yuma Hamfest. But we want to, they almost didn't have it this year, and it's kind of thought they didn't do a lot of good advertising, but it is on, and that's on the 27th, 28th of February, and that should be a lot of fun. We got 3 booths there for the Papa system, and fun thing is if come up with some stuff that that's worthy of reselling to someone that you want to donate and get rid of it, and it'll end up being maybe a new antenna or something on one of the hilltops or whatever. Okay, with that, before we go any further, let's see if there are any other announcements. Any other announcements for the net? Please come now. And yes, Joaquin Ridge is working. So congratulations to everybody up in the Fresno area. Papa 32 is alive, I think anyway. We'll see how it goes. Okay, no other announcements. I think at this time, I want to see if my good friend, buddy, trail chum, what else can I call him? Just all in all, great outdoorsman Steve, KS6LV, is available and has anything from this weekend's hike to the cabin. Welcome, Steve.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. And I was kind of tossing around a couple of ideas. I was out at the cabin this weekend, and boy, if you weren't out hiking or doing something in the out of doors, boy, it was just a beautiful weather all around. The one story is a little too long, so I think I'll save that for perhaps a special net one day coming up this year. But I will go ahead and mention something. We talked briefly about it on the round table last night, and that's outdoor preparedness. But in this case, instead of talking about GPS and maps and having backup and everything, and I know I'm preaching to the choir for the most part here, but if there are any people out there who are just thinking about going out and going on a hike and you don't have much experience, make sure that you do some research about where you're going and just know where you want to go, how far it is there any water available, things like that. And I'll tell you why from my experience this weekend. So I meet a lot of people along the trail, both the experienced hikers and complete neophytes. And I met up with a couple of people this weekend, and I just have to, when I see someone who I know is not prepared, I just ask them, where are you going? How long do you think it'll take? And things like that, just to get a little bit of a profile. And I had one person say, I've never been here before, and I don't know what's out here. So zero research, just kind of going for a hike. And the other one was two young women, college age, and with a young man kind of joking around, and it was on the real sketchy section of trail. And they were kind of joking around and asked me, how far or how long is it to, and I said, well, it depends on where you're going. She says, oh, we don't know. So there you go. I let them pass, and I encourage them to do a little research next time. So I worry about these people, and I know it's not my responsibility, but I just can't believe people go out without knowing anything about where they're going. So anyway, I give them credit for wanting to go out and have an outdoor experience, but I worry that I'm going to hear the helicopter and the radio calls from the search and rescue later on in the day. So with that in mind, be safe in the outdoors, be safe whatever you do, and we'll talk to you later. That's all I got tonight, Bob. So everybody, go get your boots dirty. This is KI6LOV. Back to you, Bob.
Well, there you go. Yeah, get your boots dirty. Anybody walking around with clean hiking boots, yeah, you must be an urban hiker. And I wouldn't know if I'd want to wear those around town. Well, yeah, they're fun to do that. Okay, I digress. Forget that. What I want to know, what a neophyte is. Do they have wings, or they just fly along the trail? But you know what I was thinking when you said that too, like, you kind of own that trail, not legally and all that good stuff. But I mean that's your trail, right? And your whole outback there. So that's why I'm saying you have kind of a concern for people and make sure that they don't get lost. That's for sure. Well, thank you, Steve. As always, we appreciate your input into the Great Outdoor Net for some trail safety and trail things. We can kind of count on those. And it's beautiful weekend to do yard work. Oh wait, did I ride my bike? I might have rode my bike, but then I did yard work. So okay, W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. So tonight, I thought, let me put on my southern accent. I thought we talk about, and what I was going to name this net is the Boys of Yosemite Valley. And this just kind of came to me as in the middle of the night kind of thing. And, the two iconic people that you first kind of comes to mind is going to be John Muir, first of all, and Ansel Adams, who both captured, and John Muir captured the wilderness and everything on paper as in his books and journals. And Ansel Adams, of course, did photography. Interesting fun fact is that Ansel Adams was only 12 years old when John Muir passed away. Ansel Adams was born on February 20th, 1902. John Muir died on December 24th, Christmas Eve, 1914. Is that hard to believe? 1914. Wow. Because of this age gap, the two legendary conservationists never actually met. John Muir died just 2 years before Ansel Adams made his very first trip to Yosemite in 1916. And Ansel Adams was given his first camera, and it was a Kodak Brownie box camera, and began the photographic journey that would eventually cement Muir's conservation legacy in the American mind. I thought that was kind of cool. I really figured they were buddies. So if you've checked out the Papa webpage, I did a little AI. Well, I did a lot of AI on this thing. So if any of these facts are not right, you can blame artificial intelligence, not me. And I asked the AI just for fun. I had no idea that this would actually happen. I said, can I have an image or a picture of Ansel Adams and John Muir sitting together in Yosemite Valley? And I'll be dangity dong, it actually came up with a picture of them. And just amazing. I mean, okay, it's fake, it's AI, but it suited my needs at that moment. So I thought I'd do that. Okay, let's have a listen to a little more information on these guys. I have a picture somewhere in the house, or we have a picture somewhere now. It's black and white. I think it's an Ansel Adams print, of course, not original. It has the how many prints were made or whatever on it. So it's beautiful. And that's, I think it's a picture of Half Dome. I have to go check it out, find out where it's at. But it is a beautiful picture. So let's stop me for a second and have a listen to, I think it's, who's with us tonight? Andrew, I think.
The Boys of Yosemite. John Muir was a highly influential Scottish-born American naturalist, author, environmental philosopher, and early advocate for the preservation of wilderness in the United States. He is often referred to as the father of the national parks, and John of the Mountains. Muir's writing and advocacy were instrumental in the establishment of several national parks, including Yosemite Sequoia, Mount Rainier, and the Grand Canyon. He strongly influenced President Theodore Roosevelt's conservation programs. Sierra Club. He was the founder and first president of the Sierra Club, an influential environmental organization established in 1892. Muir shared his deep love for nature through his eloquent articles and books, which brought the beauty of the American wilderness to a nationwide audience and inspired the modern conservation movement. Ansel Adams remains the most iconic American landscape photographer, renowned for his majestic black and white images of the American West and his lifelong commitment to environmental conservation. Ansel Adams Gallery 100th Anniversary Exhibition. The Ansel Adams Gallery in Yosemite Valley is celebrating its centennial with the exhibition Providence and Pathos, featuring rare and iconic original photographs through January 10th, 2026. These are just a few highlights of the life and times of these two iconic boys of Yosemite. Thanks Bob W6CJX for allowing me to give this presentation. Back to the net.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. You did a great job there researching. I don't just copy and paste everything. I actually tweak it quite a bit to make it sound pretty cool. I don't know why I don't have to tell all my secrets. So, like I said, when I started looking into this or thinking about this as a topic, I just thought, well, it's kind of different. It's unique. I know we have a lot of photographers out there, so you probably enjoy the topic of Ansel Adams and, of course, John Muir. But I didn't realize there was that big age difference, and I just figured they were buddies, and they took pictures of each other, and or Adams took pictures of John, and it just nope, didn't happen. So very interesting, very, very interesting. Okay, let's see who else is out there tonight. And if you'd like to check in, if you've got some Yosemite experience, we finally made it a year ago last October. It was a bucket list kind of for both of us. Some people, it's not a bucket list. It was a bucket list for us, for Carolyn and I, and we really took it in. It was so majestic when you see it for the first time, definitely. All right, let's stand by for any stations that would like to join us tonight. Please come down.
Kilo 6, Hotel 6, LD.
Kilo November 6, Mike Romeo Golf.
Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo.
Kilo Foxtrot 4, Papa Quebec Hotel.
Sure, I've added in KE6 MAE, Kilo Echo 6, Mike Alpha Echo.
All right. The tidal surge has finally slipped back into the ocean. That was a good one. All right. I think I've got everybody. I might have missed one or two. But let me tell you who I have. And if I don't call your name, please come back with your name and call sign. We got Logan LLB. We got WLD Greg. We've got Adrian HNG. We got Chris MRG. We got AB6MB. And we got Ron KF4PQH. And we've got, what was your name again? KE6MAE. Just kidding. And so did I miss anyone? Probably.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima.
Kilo Oscar 6, India, Quebec Romeo.
How accurate was that? I missed exactly two. All right, cool. Well, I kind of missed Hal on purpose, but that's okay. I figured I'd make him beg. He knows I'm getting cheap. All right, let's say hello to Logan. I guess the stupid question is to say, have you ever been to Yosemite? But if you would have asked Carolyn or myself, I had been there when I was a kid. And all I remember was a bear coming through the camp. We were camping, and the bear came through. That's all I remember about it. And, but the history of it's kind of fun. I want to get into a little bit of that firefall, too. So if you witnessed any of that or what's happening, the modern firefall, which is really interesting. So I'll send it to Logan. Oh, no, KD6 LLB. Sorry. Where's the mouse?
I've got a mouse you can borrow. Good evening, Bob and everyone. This is Logan, KD6 LLB. And I actually, believe it or not, have never actually camped in the valley floor. I've done the looky-loo thing when I had an opportunity, and the even sadder story is the time that I basically scheduled things badly, and I had intended to stay. Sorry, one of your crickets ended up in my throat, I think. So This is many, many years ago. I had a trip lined out that involved going to the mountains, and well, actually, I needed to stop Bishop or something. I had to actually drop something off, and I was headed to surf, and I intended to spend a night in Yosemite, and so I ended up driving through the park with a surfboard on my car behind schedule, and didn't get to spend the night then either. And it's something very strange about driving through the Sierras with a surfboard on your truck. Anyway, I need to get out there this year for sure. And I guess that's all I've got. It's good to hear everyone, and I look forward to hearing stories from people who actually have spent some time in Yosemite and actually camped. KD6LLB, back to net.
Well, we didn't actually camp either. I mean, that was our plan at one time when we got our travel trailer, and we're going to go to Yosemite or like either stay outside of the park and drive in each day, but no, we didn't do that either. But it wasn't bad. It's just the drive. We went up through Fresno and then on the 99 and stayed in Fresno actually. And that drive, even just from Fresno into the park from that gate, whichever gate that is, that's a long drive. Anyway, and then you get to drive all around. But it was fantastic. Worth every single minute for sure. Thank you, Logan. Yeah, well, we still have time, right? We can empty out that bucket and just start filling it up again. KK6 WLD, Greg, welcome.
Good evening from San Diego. Greg, KK6 WLD, exercising the great outdoor tropospheric ducting here, coming in via Papa 6 without the beam. But anyways, glad the crickets have returned to your Switch soundboard from my garage. That's a good thing. And on the topic of Yosemite, it is a gorgeous place to visit. I have lost count how many times I've visited now. But every time you find something new. And I've done the tent cabins, I've stayed at the lodge, I've done actual pitch a tent type camping, and it's a different experience each time. One thing I haven't done yet is visit in the winter. That would be the bucket list item for Yosemite, I guess, or one of them. The other one would be hiking Half Dome. I've yet to do that, but done some of the falls a few times, Vernal Falls, Nevada Falls, those are favorites. I've done the drive up the 99, and I've done the drive up the 395, and lately I kind of prefer going that direction. A little bit less ruckus up in the high country there of Yosemite. It's a little bit less parking, but the lakes, those high alpine lakes are gorgeous, and looking at the snow on the mountaintop is pretty nice. And fun fact for this net, since it is an amateur radio net, there is an amateur radio repeater located in Yosemite National Park right by the valley. So one can actually play some radio there while one is at it. All right, back to you, Bob. KK6WLD, Greg in San Diego via Papa 6.
Well, I can verify that you're definitely coming in through Papa 6 because you were lighting up Santa Ynez mix. Is that like Chex mix? Yes. I'd like some Santa Ynez mix, please. Oh, you forgot how many times you've been in Yosemite. There's always one in the group that has to show up everyone. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and I've heard camping the wintertime, there was a friend of mine that sent some pictures back, and at first I thought, who is that? You're crazy, right? I mean, but it's like in between storms. You're not going to go there when it's snowing vigorously, I wouldn't think. But he said, no, that's the best time to go. There's hardly anybody there, and yeah, you just, campfires have a whole another meaning because they keep you warm, and so does, nice down bags and whatever else you got. Thank you, Greg. Always, and I've heard that. Yeah, I should have thrown that into the mix, but you did it. So you get the ding-a-dinga. Let's see, where you got the ding-a-dinga at? Here, I brought back the real digital bell. not the fake, not the analog. That's a digital bell. All right, thanks, Greg, for being a regular. I can say that you've made it like, what is it, 3 weeks in a row. I'm happy with that. Greg, let's see. Let's talk to Adrian, KK6HNG. No, he's been all over the place, but let's see if he's been to Yosemite.
Good evening, Bob, and everybody on the net. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. And yes, I've been to Yosemite, I don't know either how many times, exactly like Greg. And I've done all the typical valley trail, at the round valley trail, and waterfall trails around there. Not the wilderness, however. That's probably on my to-do list. And no, I was never able to camp at Camp 4. Even I tried hard a few times, but it didn't happen. These days you need to schedule it well in advance. It's not a first come, first serve anymore. And, yesterday it was what? A net about navigating GPS and stuff? Oh yeah. I've done a nice circuit about 15 miles, and fair to say I've never been in that area ever, and without the GPS and the good map with it, probably I would not have done it in time. So, wow, unbelievable how important that thing is, beyond all the other preparations that you do. Can rely on a navigation system that will take you there as if you'd been there 3, 4, 5 times before. And yes, it is that season of the red Yosemite fall, I believe. Basically at sunset it becomes red. I think that's the time of the year, but I'm not sure exactly which day, which week. And yes, exactly like Greg, this day I'd like to go on the 395 freeway on the other side of the Sierras. It's, in my opinion, even nicer. And that being said, well, I'll turn it back to net control, KK6HNG. Oh, one more thing. The repeater that Greg is talking about, I believe it's the Buck Rock repeater, and it's in between the Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park. Oh, no, he was talking about the Yosemite one, but that's another one worth mentioning. It's an amateur radio on Buck Rock between Kings Canyon and Sequoia. KK6HNG, back to net.
Well, I would imagine that you could do HF. HF goes like what, straight up, not so much line of sight and all that. It would be kind of interesting to pull out a nice rig and throw a wire in the tree. Oh, that might be against the law. I don't know. Well, when you were talking about last night's net, which was great, and Gilbert always does such a great job filling in for Darren. And when we were talking about maps and compasses, and I know Steve's touched on that too, it reminds me of this cartoon once, and this is like something that really could probably happen, although you probably never find a ranger. That's the other problem, unfortunately. But if you did, there was this cartoon once of somebody, I think it was a couple, was standing there talking to the ranger, and they had this map, and they were new to hiking, so they went out and bought everything. We need a compass, we need a map, got boots, we got backpacks, we got the whole thing, we're going to go hiking. Well, then they were talking to the ranger, and in the caption of the cartoon it says, "Could you help us figure out where we're at?" Because they'd never used a map before. Anyway, I thought it was kind of neat. Insert here. All right, Adrian, thank you. Always. You do a great job on giving us some information. Best way to put it. Let's say hello to Chris. I believe it's KO6MRG. Welcome, Chris.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm coming in on a HT. How am I coming in?
You're coming in good. You just have a hum, but it's not too bad. Sounds good.
Okay, I'll try it with my left hand. So another person of note for Yosemite, I would just say Warren Harding. One of the early climbers and first one to go up El Cap. And, one of the people that kind of reading his journals and stories and stuff got me outdoors more. I mean, I was always outdoors, but no, it took me to the mountains and exploring more of California and especially Yosemite. So I would say I've been in Yosemite more than 2 years with the amount of time I spent with just exploration and climbing, but also if you come off 395 and going into Tuolumne, the climbing up there where the lakes are, like you can climb off the side of the road, you get back down, you go across the road and jump in the lake and refresh and clean. Yeah. KN6 MRG.
Well, that's a whole nother subject too, which is very interesting for, we'll probably do a climbing net. I don't think we've done one. It sounds like we have a few climbers out there or ex-climbers, either way you want to look at it there. I know like there was Royal Robbins. I mean, he used to climb back in the day up by where I used to live in Idlewild on Tockwitz Rock. And then you've got the, I don't know their names. I could have researched that too, but there's the two guys. One's from Patagonia, which is, he's not from Patagonia, but that's his company. He lives here in Ventura, or he did. I don't know if he's still alive. I think he might be, but the original Patagonia shop is in Ventura. And then, of course, the guy from North Face, and they were both climbers. And the guy from Patagonia actually forged some of the very first pitons that were made, just to like, hey, let's stick these in there it is, Vaughn. Yeah, can't even pronounce that, Logan, but that's who it is. Yeah, that's the guy from Patagonia. All right, thank you. I know I should have done a little better on that one, but it's fun. It's some good stuff there. Jeff, thank you, Chris. AB6MB, Mr. Person himself up in there in the city by the bay. Let's welcome Jeff. Good evening, Jeff.
Hello, Bob, and thank you for doing the net. Great net tonight. I have never been to Yosemite. However, I have various pictures on my screensaver. It is just beautiful. There's absolutely beautiful photographs from there, and even in, whether black and white or color, there's some pretty amazing ones that I enjoy. And I'll probably never make it there, but I tell you what, I really enjoy the pictures, and I'm glad I got them on my screensaver. The Andrew that you had on earlier, talking about photographs, is he from the Seattle area? Because I know an Andrew up there at the Ham that takes a whole bunch of pictures around the Seattle area. Back to you.
You mean on another net? I don't think we had an Andrew tonight that I remember, and I don't see one on here. But it may not be from Seattle. I think everyone so far has been local. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you did a video or audio earlier, and I thought the guy's name was Andrew, so evidently I was wrong. But Andrew is a great photographer, a great guy up there on the Seattle Puget Sound group. Anyway, thank you very much for doing the net. Great subject. Yosemite has a magic of all its own, and I still like really looking at the pictures, and and just amazing to see videos and whatnot. So anyway, back to you, AB6MB.
A gun face. Andrew was our AI assistant tonight that had the information that I researched up from AI. So, yeah, there was an Andrew. You're right, absolutely. I was looking on the sheet, and there's no Andrew on here. What's Jeff talking about? So now, when you said that, I went, okay, that's who it was. Yep, that wasn't a real person, but it's real to me. It's one of my people that I work with. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for doing the nets on Friday nights. We enjoy that very much and very informative and giving time for the new hams and also any hams to talk about some antennas. So good job and having that going for so long. You've done such a great job on that. And with that, we'll see if we head on over to talk to Ron, KF4, PQH, out in, okay, hold on, drum roll, please, Locust Grove, Virginia. I think it's Locust Grove, not Locustville. He always gets a kick out of that. All right, Ron, it's your turn. Whip up the bat.
It's KF4PQH. Yeah, Bob. I know you know it's Locust Grove. Yeah, we actually got a chance to go to Yosemite. I just happened to see a couple pictures on my phone just to make sure. It was late April, early May 2017. And we actually stayed at a place called Park of the Sierras, which was an escapees co-op RV resort south of there by Course Gold. Similar model to the place that we stayed in Awanga, of course, different views and completely different area in the Sierras, but just amazing and fabulous. Bridal Veil Falls, being there late April, early May, there was a lot of water running. There were parts of the park that were still closed because of snow blockage, and then we also got a chance to take the Sugar Pine Lake Railway running around through there, which was a great ride, and saw the sequoias. But just amazing. I remember Bridal Veil Falls and Mirror Lake, and just like so many of them. But Yosemite was probably one of my favorites. And we got to hang out in that area for a couple of weeks, so we got up there several times, and also to the other parts of the different things that we saw in that Course Gold area. So amazing place, amazing country we live in. But loved Yosemite and all the things we did there. And I think I mentioned the Sugar Pine Railroad and staying in the Escapees Park out there. That pass you were talking about, by the way, Bob, when you get to be 62, you can now purchase either $10 annually or $80 for a lifetime pass for any national park. I got mine, and when I was hit 62, and I'm 78 now, mine was free back then, but they decided they needed to start charging for that. So anyway, everybody stay safe. Loved Yosemite. 7-3 back to net control. This is KF4PQH.
Say hello to Dee for us and enjoy. Hopefully the weather's not too harsh out there. I know both football games we were watching today were snowing, and I thought, boy, especially in Chicago, that was probably the worst. Let's head over to Larry. What's going on? KE6MAE. What's going on, my friend? And welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everybody on the net. Larry, KE6MAE, who now has to clean up a glass because I tried to set a glass of water down and missed the table. So I got a little chore. But Yosemite, beautiful, beautiful place. Been there. I think my folks took me there. They did a little tent cabin. I remember we had a fire and so forth. I probably was 10 years old or so. And then when I was probably like 14, my dad would take me and a couple of my friends up there, and we'd tent camp there at one of the campgrounds. And why we liked to go up there, they would have dances every night. And what do 14-year-old boys like to get next to? Girls, right? Well, it was fun, and we enjoyed the firefall and all that. And I've been in there in winter, but I had a little motorhome, so we were nice and toasty. Plus, I've stayed up in the Tuolumne Meadows area, up in the high country. But the last time, well, what was it, 7 or 8 years ago, we had gone to Tahoe. Unfortunately, my wife had passed, and I had a lady friend with me, and we'd taken a little trip up to Lake Tahoe. Well, I came back down, and we came through Yosemite. And this was in the middle of summer. What a disaster. There was people running around like ants. You couldn't find a place to park. You couldn't. They would walk right in front of you as you're coming down the roadway. I couldn't wait to get out of there. So we went to the Awadi Hotel. We had a nice lunch, and I was out of there. But beautiful place, but I think they've allowed too many people in it now, and it's way, way too crowded. It wasn't even enjoyable. I just couldn't wait to get out. But it is a beautiful place, that's for sure. Great net tonight, Bob. Thank you very much. This is Larry, KE6MAE.
Well, that's a good point, and I think people that have been there a few times have experienced the same thing. And that's kind of one of the first things you think about when you're going, let's go to Yosemite. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, can we even get in? And can we get a reservation? It's really hard to go all that. That's why some people do stay in, what is it, Oak Grove? Oak Park? What is it? There's a little town just outside with a couple hotels and motels and things that you can just drive in. And when we went through, like I said, a year ago in October, I guess, they gave us like a pass because we were seniors, I guess, and we qualified to. They said, "Oh yeah, you can use this rest of the year." Or I don't even know. Maybe it was for life. It was pretty neat. But then again, I think it's just, and it could have been a national park pass for everything. We have to look that up. Good question. We didn't have a question. I asked the question. Still got to look it up. Well, thank you, Larry. That sounds like you still loved it, and I would think you get in there and get a camping spot somewhere, and if it is crowded, but you got a little, maybe you have a few extra days where you can take everything in, and it's kind of like going to Disneyland in the wilderness, right? Oh well, and there's probably some good times. When we were there, it wasn't too bad in October. I think that's what someone told us. It was a good time. It wasn't crowded at all. We didn't even wait to get in. It was crazy. All right. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to hear you in that melodic voice. We love that. That gets everybody woke up. N6HAL, Chief, what's up? How are you doing tonight? And what's going on in the world of Hal?
November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima. Thanks, Bob. And I kind of figured you were trying to rattle my cage a little bit there and pretending you didn't hear me. But I did double with Ron when I checked in, so I wasn't sure. Well, I was at Yosemite on my honeymoon. It was one of the many stops we made, and we went up the coast of California in a motorhome and came back down Central California. We stopped at Yosemite and camped in a campground in the motorhome. So I didn't do much hiking, just drove around, looked at the countryside, and enjoyed the view, and continued on down farther. So that's all the experience I have with Yosemite. Back to the net. November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima.
Yeah, that's basically what we did. We didn't have the motorhome, but we drove around. We made the loop around the valley, the valley floor there, and then we took, as we were leaving, went up to Glacier Point, which is quite a ride too. Just after you've been driving all day from Fresno to there, and then around Yosemite, and then take the drive up to Glacier Point. But we had to see that, and that's. I've got some great pictures that I took, which is so neat. And when Jeff was talking about the screensaver coming on, that's part of my screensavers, all these great pictures that I took. And I just got the camera, I think, from RJ, and that was just perfect timing to be able to have a really nice Nikon with my lens. What was I going to say about... Anyway, it was a lot of fun. What the heck was it? I was going to say something about pictures and things. And even some of these pictures that I took, you can, through your Photoshop, we'll just call it Photoshop for the sake of whatever, that you can turn it, into any color you want, and just black and white or grayscale. And they look just like Ansel Adams. I'm telling you, it looks pretty good to me. Yeah, if I could make some money off of it, but that's not what I'm going to do. Thank you, Hal. The honeymoon, I love it. I put it on the log here. I put honeymoon next to you, so that was a good one. Let's say hello to KO6IQR. I don't have a name off the top of my head. I looked in the log but didn't see it. So give us your name, location if you have it, and anything you have for the net tonight. Welcome.
Thanks, Bob. The name here is Mario, Kilo Oscar 6, India, Quebec, Romeo. I'm currently in the city of Turlock, which is just south of Modesto here in Northern California, Central Valley. And I'm on the newly refreshed Papa 32, which sounds great, by the way. Being pretty close. I'm about 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes actually from Yosemite Valley. I haven't been since I've been up here. I'm from Anaheim, and I've been working up here. It's going to be going on 7 months now. kind of every few weeks going back home to Anaheim. But I do a lot of 2 meter and 70 centimeter contacts with people up there in the peaks, parks. I'm doing POTA, I suppose it's called, and SOTA, more than likely SOTA. A lot of radio contacts coming from the valley and from the surrounding peaks. Seeing how I'm down here in the valley and got pretty good line of sight. We were just up there with my wife, not in Yosemite Valley, but just 30 minutes away, and I think the town is, I'm not sure what it's called. We were up there at the Chicken Ranch Casino, which is just past the junction there onto Highway 120 and Sonora area. I've been to Yosemite a couple times as a teenager with my aunt and uncle, and I have fond memories of camping and hiking in the waterfalls and things of that nature. I'm going to try to get up there this year, since it's literally just a day drive for me. I can do a quick day job and see how crowded it is. Right now it's probably not too crowded, seeing how it's probably all snowed over. But anyhow, yeah, I did want to mention about we're talking about John Muir. So our office that I work for currently, our NorCal office, is in Concord, and the John Muir National Historic Site, his home, is located in Concord. I did have the privilege of visiting that site, and it's pretty neat property, beautiful home that he had there. A lot of fruit trees and agricultural, aside from his national park and conservancy mission, he also did bring a lot of agriculture into the valley and the Bay Area. So I did have the chance to do a Parks on the Air activation. I tried it from the parking lot, didn't work too well. There's a very neat hill on the opposite side of the highway at the National Historic Site, which is part of the park, that you can hike up. It's a pretty decent hike, and you go all the way up, and you get a really good open kind of mountaintop activation that I did there. Not too many. I think I got 11 or 12 or something like that, but enough to activate the park. And I had a really good time. It's a very beautiful area. The home is a museum. They do tours, things like $5 you pay, and you can go in and tour the property and whatnot. But yeah, that's my story with the park and with John Muir. And hope to get there this year. KO6 IQR, back to the net.
Well, great to have you aboard tonight, Mario. We're here every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. We do have an archive of this net that comes out every Monday afternoon on any of the platforms that you would get a podcast on, all those platforms. Or you can go to YouTube or the Papa webpage and then drop down the YouTube drop down, for better lack of terms. Drop down the YouTube drop down, and we're like the second one down there, and you can take you right to the page. It's nonprofit, everything. It's nothing going on there. So it's just all amateur radio and just the love of the great outdoors and capturing some of these great stories too. So yeah, you're coming in just fantastic from there. So thank you for keying up there tonight. I know they went up and fixed it, and I'm sure they are very happy to hear that it's working and are still working. I know it was working when they left, but I think it's sounding great. Well, like I said, don't be a stranger. Come on by. Now that you can get into the repeater, that's pretty good. And sounds like you're in a pretty neat place right there, and definitely could have some fun. Some good, like someone said earlier, it's like California, or United States in general, really. But even California, we've got some amazing places that you can visit that you're not going to find anywhere else on Earth. So that's for sure. I think we had a recheck from Chris, KO6MRG. Are you still there with us, Chris? And what you got? Okay. I guess all I got is crickets. Yes, the crickets are done. I did pay for their union dues, so they're all set. It just, it's kind of, I gotta get them back in the cage at night. All right, one more time for Chris, if you're still with us. Go ahead, Chris, KO6MRG. Okay, looks like he's not there. So, well, what I'd like to do is insert something at this point. It's not too big, too bad, or too much, but I think it's interesting. A couple people have mentioned the Firefall, which was a great thing that used to happen back in, 1872, the Glacier Point Mountain House Hotel, which did burn down in 1969. But if you watch like some of these specials, like Huell Hauser, he's got a great one on that where he goes there and talks with the original manager that was of the. I don't know if they really called it Mountain House, but that's what it said. It's a Glacier Point Hotel, and the view from up there must have just been absolutely stunning. And to stay in a hotel up there, that must have been great. But of course, that burned down, and then the Horsetail Falls is their new firefall now, which used to be the burning of the coals, the red fir bark, and then they would get that going a couple hours before, I guess 9 o'clock was the time that it would come. And what would you hear at 9 o'clock from Camp Curry or from Glacier Point? Let's have a listen.
Hello, Glacier. And I would call back and say, hello, Camp Curry. Let the fire fall. And I would say, the fire is falling.
Wow. Can you imagine? That must have been cool. So that was the good old days. But now we've got this phenomenon, which I don't know when this all started, but the firefall mid to late February. If you go up there now, I guess you're gonna have to spend most of the month, or at least the last 2 weeks of February. It only lasts about 10 minutes, but the light comes in just at that right angle, and if I think it's Horsetail Falls, if it's got water, it kind of needs the water, and it just gives it that look. And I'm sure you've seen pictures and all that, but I just think that's really, really interesting. And another notable thing too is that it was the first state park for California, and now, of course, it's a national park. That's all I got from that stuff. Let's see who else is out there. We'll take one more round of check-ins, and if anybody has anything else and wants to add, please come now.
KK6HNG, Kilo Juliet 6 Golf Echo Uniform, Bob, Papa 1. Foxtrot Golf Whiskey, Steve.
Kilo Charlie 6.
K6 DV, Papa 24.
Kilo Oscar 6, Lima, Quebec, Juliet, Jeff.
KO6 KPZ, checking in and checking out. Andy, Papa 3.
KF4 PQH.
All righty. We got a lot. That was good. And I'm sorry, Steve, Chicago. I was kind of rooting for them a little bit too, because I do have a lot of ex-coworkers that are from Chicago and Wisconsin. But yeah, it is what it is. It was a good game. I guess that's what it was. Let's see. I think I got everybody in order here. So let's go with Adrian, KK6HNG for a recheck.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. Actually, to clarify that even more, if you get at over 62, if you get the $80 permit, it will be for life. That's the way it works. I can't wait to get mine this summer. And talking of winter in Yosemite, no, I didn't do any winter in Yosemite on purpose, but guess what? I've done what on the 4th of July a few years ago. It was not exactly in Yosemite, it was in Sequoia, but it was still crazy to have 3 feet of snow in the lakes area in Sequoia National Park. Incredible. All the rangers were saying, oh yeah, that was a crazy snowy year. KK6HNG, back to net, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, that would probably be my luck too. Get up there and have like the snowstorm from Mel. The snow. Anyway, yeah, I think that's good. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad. Gives me more incentive to either go back or go to another national park at least. Now we know we have a pass to get in. But I think that's a great thing, and I'm sure they do things for vets, different veterans and things to get back in for free, I hope. Anyway, I know they have certain days everybody is free. Let's say hello to Bob, KJ6GEU. And how was Bob tonight? And welcome. Any good photography from there? Take it away.
Hey, Bob and the net. This is Bob, KJ6GEU on Papa 1. Yeah, love Yosemite. Fantastically beautiful place. We've done some hiking there, taken some pictures. But I would really love to do the Firefall. The problem is it's in February. Usually Route 120 from the eastern side of the Sierras is still closed off because it's still snow on the ground or ice, whatever. So we've got a place in Mammoth, so it's be a heck of a lot easier to go from Mammoth over the eastern pass, but it's usually closed off. So most of the time when we do go, it's going to be in the spring and in the summertime, and it's still beautiful then. But yeah, echoing the previous sentiments, do not go on a holiday weekend ever. Myself and some friends went up there on our motorcycles once on Memorial Day weekend, and it was absolutely insane. Unfortunately, national parks in general are getting like that. My wife and I were talking about going to Glacier in May or June, and we looked at the reports on the internet, and apparently it's getting so crowded that now you have to have reservations for everything. And as a matter of fact, for Yosemite now, the Firefall, just this year they're talking about taking reservations for photographers. So it's just getting too crowded. But it is a gorgeous place. The hiking is fantastic. Anyway, I'll go ahead and end it there. I'll send it back to Net Control, KJ6GEU, 73 to you, Bob, and everyone on the net.
Well, thank you, Bob. And I was not sure where you're going to be coming in from, but then I saw you were coming in on Papa One, so I guess you have made it home from Mammoth. So we'll have to talk about that sometime. I bet that was a lot of fun, and probably got in some really good skiing. I would have thought of it just before I keyed up. I could have asked you. Sounds good. Yeah, that's I guess holiday weekends like this weekend and other weekends during the summer time too that's for first timers. You want them to go there and just have a great time if they can move and drive and get to their campsites. So yeah, that's the place to avoid for sure. Well, let's say hello to Steve, WA6FGW.
Okay, very good, Bob. Easy for you to say there. Hi. Anyway, I too, like a number of the people mentioned, when they were kids, they would come up there with a family. And then later on, when I had my own family, of course, we'd make the trip in. But it wasn't, the backpacking type that would have been far more recent in my memory banks. And there's a number of times been up to the Tuolumne Meadows area, whether it be for the day or to do a short round-trip hike. But that being as it is, there's two particular trips that really stand out in my mind. First one, which I'd wanted to do, and finally the group that I'm associated with decided to do it. And we started out at Tuolumne Meadows and basically followed the trails for the high camps, if you're familiar with how the high camps work, and that's a separate deal. And we followed that, and they have some real nice campgrounds, if you will. They do offer some food, but most of it is pretty much you bring your own. And then you stay in one of their facilities, still in your tent, but at least they have a dedicated spot. Okay, so that trip started out, like I say, Tuolumne Meadows. Took us, I think we did it in 3 days, or maybe it was 4, but we ended up at the campground below Half Dome, and then we got up early the next morning and did the Half Dome experience, which is an experience, but don't go unless two things. One, you got your life insurance paid up, and secondly, you've got some really good, nice split leather gloves that you can use for traction on the chain or the cable. Depends on what they've got up there to go up the side. And now I understand you have to get reservations just to do the Half Dome hike. Anyway, and then we finished our trip. Our wives picked us up at Glacier Point. So that was a long last day. Most of it being downhill, of course, which really helped a lot. But the other one was again starting out up at the Tuolumne Meadows High Country area, and we basically followed the Tuolumne. I think it's Tuolumne Meadows River, or I'm escapes me what the name of that river is, but Water Wheel Falls is part of it, and that was just wonderful. You could barely hear yourself think. It was such amazing amount of water that was passing through, and that was all the way down to the valley there. So it was a nice area to hang out in for sure. Last but not least, we did do some skiing one year in the wintertime up there. I think it's referred to as Badger Pass. Someone might correct me on that. I think that's what it is. We just happened to be there over Thanksgiving, and they had a special, and to that point I had never skied, and that was a great way to start. Anyway, that's all I've got, but it's a wonderful place. Absolutely, people should try to get there if they can and go early and enjoy it. Take care, Bob. Thanks for doing the net, and hopefully that answers some questions if you didn't before. WA6FGW, Claire.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's why I wanted to capture all these different stories and people's thoughts of Yosemite, and have all that to enjoy, and we'll get it all there. So I was going to ask you too. Now I can remember. Thank you, Steve. I lost my train of thought, so I'll just keep the train on running. KC6 WTN, Jeff and Simi, welcome.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for doing the net. Great topic tonight. I was only at Yosemite once. It was in the late 70s. I was a little kid. Dad piled us all in the car, and the car was an old Mercury station wagon. It was yellow with the wood grain vinyl decals on the side. It was awesome. So that's the extent of my actual visit. But one thing to note, Sentinel Dome used to have a Jeffrey pine tree that grew out of the center. So here you have this granite surface that's huge and nothing up there except this pine tree that's sticking out of a crack in the dome, and that was kind of cool. I understand it died from drought in the late 70s, but if you Google it, you can still find some cool pictures from when it existed, and it just kind of shows you the evolution of things where there's a tree that's living amidst all this dead rock, and there's some pretty good images there, so it's worth 5 minutes of Googling. Back to net control, KC6WTN.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. That sounds great. I mean, I can picture it, even though I don't know if I've ever seen it. Probably have on something, but it sounds... why didn't they fly over with one of the helicopters and drop a bucket of water? It might have been too hard to get to. I know some of my pictures I was able to capture. I didn't expect to with my lens. It was only a 300 millimeter lens at the most, but we were really close right underneath of El Capitan, and so I got a lot of great pictures of people climbing and have their little climbing parties there. Well, let's see with Ellen. It seems like it was a lifetime ago that you checked in, so let's get you in the queue here. Welcome.
I don't have a snoring sound. T6DV for ID. You wanted to talk about Ansel Adams and John Muir. I thought that was where we were going. Well, Yosemite's in there too. Now, have you ever been in the presence of somebody really famous and not even realized it? I'm 19, 18. I'm in an art class on a warm May afternoon in Ventura at Ventura Community College. And my art teacher is just going gaga over this old man who walked in to visit some reason to see our class. I don't even remember whether he did anything while he was there. But since I didn't have any clue what this gentleman was famous for, I studied his persona. And I saw a man with a dad bod, with a paunch, with really baggy pants, held up by a slender black belt and this big bushy beard and big black glasses, black-rimmed glasses. I met Ansel Adams. He was in his 60s at the time, and he was going through Ventura for some reason, and my art teacher wanted him to come to class, and he did. And I met him. I was unimpressed, but I was 19 and extremely naive. So I still remember him, though, because once I figured out that must have been somebody important, I did some research, as I tend to do, and found out that I was in the shadow of a god. So anyway, that's my story. I have been to Yosemite, as I like to call it, twice. Once on a motorcycle recently, and once sleeping in a tent when I was 12 with my family coming across country. I was in there in a tent by myself with a dachshund dog, and a bear came by. I could hear him snuffling at the outside of the tent, and I had some crackers that I took to bed with me, and I remember being frightened out of my wits. My dog was going to bark, and I couldn't let her bark. So that was an event that's also indelibly printed on my brain. With that, Bob, back to you. K6DV.
Well, I'd like to see someone top that. that's pretty special. You got some great ones for sure. And wow, to not even know, who he was, or maybe if they even said who he was until you started researching him. That's great. That's really amazing, and really hits right in the center of the target for our Yosemite night tonight with the boys of Yosemite Valley. I guess they're not boys. I did an AI thing too for boys, and there was a bunch of these boys, young boys, kind of in the same place where it came up with the Ansel Adams and the John Muir picture together. Let's see. I got a call that I didn't quite get all the way through. It's KO6, an L and a Q at the end, I believe. So if that's your call or anything close to that, I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, that was probably me, Jeff in Burbank, KO6LQJ, and you just sparked a memory from the summer of 1981. I graduated high school and went up to Yosemite with a friend of mine and met my cousin up there who was a ranger. Drove up in the VW thing and had a great time up there. We did that hike that goes up the backside of Half Dome. But by the time we got up to where it started to get critical, that's when the thunderstorms came in, and we decided that just wasn't a good time to have our hands on anything metal like those cables, and turned around and went back down the trail. And it wasn't a total loss because we wound up swimming in the creek with a couple of ladies we met on the trail, and so that was good. Not a total loss. Anyway, good. Just kind of an epic trip. And been back a few times since then. Most recently with my family a few years ago. KO6LQJ.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I think it was you. I know that when you started talking, I knew it was you. I was just writing as fast as I can. Well, you can hear it later if you go back and play this back. I usually don't change any of that. I take little bits and pieces out that make the noises in between, but mostly it's all real time. Yeah, I would imagine those the poles or the that holds the cables. I mean, I've never done that, but I would imagine that's a great ground plane. And you've got solid granite with a metal pole and a cable. Yeah, that would be not a good place to be. If the lightning is looking for a place to land. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. Good to hear you as always. Andy's at IO. So we'll KPZ. We got you down in the log, and that leaves us without anyone. So I'm gonna get real close to wrapping things up because it's getting on. If there's anyone has any like any quick rig checks or just a quick check in, we can do that, and then we'll close the net.
K0WDG.
Kilo 6 Uniform Sierra.
Kilo Oscar 6 Delta Golf X-Ray.
Kilo Oscar 6 Lima Romeo Alpha.
Okay. As much as I love the net, we're supposed to close it down in a little bit, but we'll take you guys, absolutely. And we got James. I was looking on the all-star list, and I couldn't see James's thing, but it's there now, I think. Oh no, he's coming in on something different. Yeah, he's coming in the K3 and NE. Okay, that's probably why I didn't see it. This is stuff you don't need to know. Anyway, but I was looking for you, so thank you so much, James, for coming in. We got Aaron, who's also close up there to Yosemite. We got Rick, DGX, and LRA, KO6L. All right, so let's start off with James, KO6. Cow.
All right. Well, I have a little bit of a history with Yosemite, starting when I was 4 years old. Went to Badger Pass, and that's where I learned to ski. It's a tiny little resort there. It's amazing. Fast forward, after that I went back when I was 12 and checked it out, and was there for like 4 or 5 days for a science camp kind of deal. And when I was going to college, I had an offer if I ever wanted a job in Yosemite to make the phone call to this guy that was a student teacher when I was in high school. So I made the call and filled out the application, and next thing you know, I'm living in Yosemite Valley. And then I ended up moving to Tuolumne. And I spent the whole time, for 2 summers, I spent going packing mules and going through the park and getting to see the whole park on horseback, which was honestly the best way to do it. You could hike around all you want, but hey, when you got a horse and 5 mules behind you and you're carrying everything you need, it's pretty cool. And we'd restock all 5 high camps. We'd take rowboats up to Merced Lake. We'd pack in water heaters and wolf and Viking ranges and refrigerators, and you name it, we took it. And I even got the honor to pack out the U.S. mail by mule from a couple of the high camps, which was kind of fun. And then the full circle of it was I decided against better judgment to spend the winter in Yosemite and work at Badger Pass as a lifty on the same lifts that I learned to ski on and the same slopes. Anyhow, it was great. And I think probably one of the most memorable experiences was I turned 21 in Tuolumne Meadows at the pack station. And we all got together and cleared out the barn, pulled the last, it was probably another 70 bales of hay we drug out of there and cleaned it all up. And we had a huge party, and we drank way too much tequila, way too much beer, and we all went down to Tioga Pass Resort the next morning for breakfast to try and sop up all that alcohol, and I don't know if it really worked or not, but it was definitely a fun experience. And I'll tell you that a 6-pack of beer hits a lot different at 10,000 feet. Hi. K0WDG, back to net.
Rocky Mountain High. Definitely. That's why everybody likes to drink Coors when they're in Colorado. It's just like get that little extra buzz. Well, what a better way to spend your 21st birthday than being there. Oh my gosh. And then having all your friends or coworkers. And hey, now that explains a little bit about the refrigerator from the island last year, that where he actually had making ice cubes for us over there on the island, and it was solar powered with a battery, but I mean, the battery was being charged by solar. So, I mean, that was probably nothing compared to Viking ranges, really, and all that. Oh, that's pretty neat. Can always count on a good one from you, James. Thank you so much. I'm really happy that you came in. I was kind of going to throw a call out there at the end and actually see if you were there, and we just missed you. All right, thank you. Let's say hello to Aaron, K6 US. I had to keep looking at that call sign. I'll get it one of these days.
Oh man, Bob, you guys are talking about my backyard. K6 US up here in Fresno. I have the pleasure of I've at least been to Yosemite once every year of my life, essentially, because it's only a couple hours away. And now I find myself in my professional career as a network engineer. I occasionally get to go to Yosemite and get paid for it. If any of you guys ever find yourself in Yosemite National Park, there are two public libraries, and there's one in the Yosemite Valley next to the cemetery, and of course there's also one in El Portal, which is just outside the park, and I service the network connectivity to all three of those libraries. So I occasionally get to go spend my lunch break next to a meadow in Yosemite, and then of course the rest of the time I'm usually stuck inside, dealing with some networking issue. If you ever need free Wi-Fi in Yosemite, go find the two libraries. We've spent a lot of time and effort to put decent Wi-Fi into those two locations, and And then my other recommendation for people when you're up there, especially if you find yourself up at Glacier Point on a weekend during the summer, look out for telescopes. I've had the pleasure of operating telescopes for the public up there many times, and that's always a lot of fun. Nice dark skies up there. You get to shine flashlights at the people that are trying to hike down from Half Dome in the middle of the night. And the other fun thing to do at the telescope, you mentioned taking pictures at El Capitan. My dad and I will sometimes set up our telescopes in front of El Capitan, and you can read the lettering off of the people's shirts through the telescope. Just amazing magnification. You know, people are down there with their little binoculars and like, oh, come over here, come look through the telescope, and yeah, you can you can tell what kind of carabiners they're using. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, glad you guys enjoy coming up to this part of California. I have the pleasure of having 4 national parks in my backyard. So the rest of the time I have to deal with living in the Central Valley, but it is nice having quick access to the mountains. So thanks, Bob. Thanks for running the net. But I had to get in there. You guys are talking about my backyard. KA6US.
Well, absolutely. No, I knew that too. When I saw you come up, I figured you had some good stuff. And then where you had me was what do you say? I only live whatever the distance is, and I've only been there one time, or I've been there one time, and then you said every year of my life. That was pretty good. But yeah, it was kind of fun. When we were there, it wasn't that crowded. It was nice. And I remember going to that really cool store. It's like a grocery store. Literally have everything. Okay, well, sounds good. Thank you, Aaron. I can't see past this darn microphone foam. It's just way too big. I'm going to have to reduce it in size. But yeah, that sounds awesome, living that close. And like you said, it's a great escape. All right, Aaron, thank you so much. And you guys have made it. You made it to the end. And let's see, we got 2 more. We got Rick, KO6DGX, my good friend. And I was going to say, when Aaron was talking about telescopes and watching the climbers, that's what I grew up doing when I was in Idaho, because of our back patio, our back deck. It looked right at Tockwitz, and boy, you could just look right up there. Oh yeah, and if you see their carabiners that says not for climbing, that means they didn't know they didn't do their math. Go ahead, Rick. Hopefully I'm making it through. I can hear myself on Papa 1. W6CGX, over to Rick, KO6DGX.
When I was 12, I went to Yosemite Valley with the Montebello YMCA. It was for 1 week. It was amazing. It changed my life, really. And so I can remember coming through Inspiration Point, seeing the valley, and it's like laid out the hamburger across the street. Oh, well, you're in a campground, so it's a real narrow little road. So I slept on the ground, me and my 3 friends, that we all did this together. So we slept on the ground, and across the ways, about 6 feet in from the road, in the bushes, we had a summer job working for the Park Service up in Tuolumne Meadows. And man, there were bears there every night. And so they would pass through, because we were working for the Park Service, but they put us up in tents at the outside of the campground. And then these bears, scroll down a little bit, there's a picture of me leading the vampire on Lily Rock.
So thank you to Rick. Thank you to Chris. I'm going to kind of wind it up here because I don't know how long this All-Star is going to last. And I sent Rick a text message. So I got bits and pieces of what you said, Rick. And like I said, I'll piece something together. I'm good at doing that. Alrighty, dighty. You know what time this is. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the net. I want to thank everyone, all 23, 4, 5 of you, and maybe a couple rechecks. We haven't filled the page in a little while, so this was obviously a good night for talking about Yosemite. And I appreciate that very much. I want to thank the Papa system, especially Cecil with his legendary leadership, and all the tech team, and of course all the net controllers, and everyone that does all their work behind the scenes. We're all volunteers. We just do this for the love of amateur radio and bringing this great nets to everybody. Not just this one. I mean, all the nets. I think all the nets are great. Absolutely. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close at 21:41. Wow, I don't think I've been that far around the clock in a long time. But we'll work on tomorrow, and maybe we'll have a nice cleaned up version if anybody wants to check it out tomorrow afternoon, either on YouTube or one of the many other platforms you can get your podcasts on. So I'm going to close it at 21:42 and say 7-3, and have a great week ahead, since this is where we started on Sunday nights. And like I said, thanks again. W6CJX will be clear.